Kamala Harris makes a truly absurd, I think desperate claim that Donald Trump is exhausted, which we're going to prove false in this video. And I don't understand even the logic of making this claim. It truly makes no sense whatsoever. Let's hear Kamala Harris.
And that's apparently the excuse for why he's not doing interviews. And of course, he's not doing the CNN town hall. He refuses to do another debate. And, you know, look, being president of the United States is probably one of the hardest jobs in the world. And so we really do need to ask if he's exhausted being on the campaign trail. Is he fit to do the job? And I think that's a question that is an open-ended question that he needs to answer.
I mean, it's so laughable. She says it again here. I'll play the first little bit of this. She tried to really reiterate the fact that Trump is exhausted, I guess.
And now he is ducking debates and canceling interviews. And check this out. His own campaign team recently said it is because of exhaustion. Raises real questions about whether you are fit for the toughest job in the world.
So if you're paying a little bit of attention to politics right now, it's clear Donald Trump does way more interviews than Kamala, way more appearances of really any kind than Kamala does. I mean, what did Kamala run for 2 months? For the first 2 months, maybe, of her being the nominee or the presumed nominee? Maybe 3 interviews or something like that. She did that joint interview with CNN and then took another big break. Like, she barely does any media. Her making the claim that Donald Trump's exhausted, especially right now, would almost be like Donald Trump trying to claim that Kamala Harris is pro-life. It just doesn't make any sense. It's just something you'd roll your eyes at. For example, Donald Trump, this is before the Al Smith dinner here. He had this conversation with Tyrus.
You don't know what's going on. I'm the keynote speaker at the biggest dinner in New York probably of the year. And I had a choice. I was going to walk in and say, could you do me a favor? Could I do this interview tomorrow or maybe next week? And
so Donald Trump did this with Tyrus, this interview here I'm showing on screen. He then went to the Al Smith dinner, which, by the way, Kamala didn't even show up at. I don't know how you can... The timing of this assertion that Donald Trump is exhausted is totally absurd, given the fact that she didn't show up to this Al Smith dinner. No presidential candidate has missed it since 1984, when, by the way, Ronald Reagan won 49 out of 50 states against Mondale.
Coming in very, very strong, a certain way. I won't tell you what way that is, but Chuck Schumer is here looking very glum. Doesn't he look glum? He looks glum. But look on the bright side, Chuck, considering how woke your party has become. If Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president.
And so she wasn't even at that dinner. She sent in some kind of very poor video. But so after that dinner too, Donald Trump, this is the next morning, appears on Fox and Friends. This was like a long, probably hour long, roughly. At least this is 40 minutes. I think it might have been a little bit longer even. Donald Trump appeared on set the next morning after that Al Smith dinner. Doesn't look very exhausted to me.
What? No, let's turn down the lights. No, I'm only.
Well, what did you think of last night? What did you think of last night?
I thought it was great. I thought, it was for the Catholic Church, really, and for a lot of good people, a lot of good causes. And unusually, she didn't show up. You would have thought she would have shown up last night. You were surprised. We were all surprised.
Exactly. So on this same day that Donald Trump's making these claims, or maybe the day after, Kamala tries to sell to the world that he's exhausted. I mean, what are you trying to do? You just picked also the worst timing. I don't think Donald Trump has even had like a 2-day period of doing more media that Kamala tried to jump on the opportunity that Trump's exhausted. And this actually was the same day she made this exhausted claim. This is later, after that Fox and Friends interview, Donald Trump, before he traveled to Michigan, did another appearance on the popular Dan Bongino show.
For my audience, I'm really... Oh, can I ask you one small favor? We're going to do election night.
So he does this. I mean, apparently the guy's exhausted. Then he went to Michigan. This is the same date. Fox and Friends, Dan Bongino. Now he's meeting with the mayor of I believe, Hamtramck, Michigan.
Mr. President, on behalf of the city of Hamtramck, And we would like to present you a certificate of appreciation for visiting our city.
So, I mean, this is not an exhausted person. He's already done all those three things in this one day. And then he did this other event. This is the same day still, this Building America's Future event.
For you, because they know you'll fight. You will fight and save their jobs, fight and save America. Never back down, never surrender. Fight.
Same day, he does another rally in Michigan. And he was asked about this claim while he was on an airport tarmac about Kamala. I'll just play the clip because it'll explain what happens.
Kamala Harris said she thinks you're exhausted. That's why you're canceling events. Are you exhausted?
What event have I canceled? I haven't canceled. She doesn't go to any events. She's a loser. She doesn't go to any events. She didn't even show up for the Catholics last night at the hotel. It was insulting. All they are is sound bites. So today I was at Fox and Friends at 7 in the morning. I then went to 2 different other appearances. I then made about 15 phone calls. I've gone 48 days now without arrest. And I've got that loser who doesn't have the energy of a rabbit. Let me tell you something. She should have been last night with the Catholics. So all they do is put out sound bites. Tell me when you've seen me take even a little bit of a risk. Not only I'm not even tired. I'm really exhilarated. You know why? We're killing her in the polls because the American people don't want her. She didn't pass her bar exam. She's not a smart person. She's not a person that should represent our country. So I just want to let you know that very clearly. Go ahead.
So he responded. I mean, it's tough to argue with what he's saying. He's doing so much media. Like, of the things I'm even bringing up here, I might have missed one or two. Like, I don't know. He had those 2 days, Thursday and Friday of just last week, so just yesterday and the day before, he was all over the place, all over the social media algorithms, on YouTube, on every app there was. I mean, it seemed like every hour, every couple hours, he's jumping to another event. And then she decides to say you're exhausted. It makes no sense whatsoever. Here's a breakdown of media appearances. I mean, I can't verify exactly if this is true. Like, maybe someone would debate this a little bit. But what is certainly not debatable, Donald Trump is doing way more media than Kamala. That's just totally not debatable. However you break it down or however you quantify these things. So this is legacy TV, 28 to 12, radio, 10 to 7, print, 10 to 2, podcast, 7 to 2, video, 3 to 3. YouTube, I don't know what the exact, like, this is what I mean, like, the categories, it's hard to say exactly what would classify. This one's a podcast, this is a YouTube video. And then X Spaces, Donald Trump did that massive X Spaces with Elon Musk. Yeah, the amount, it's clear to anyone following this election, even a little bit, like Kamala's saying that Donald Trump is exhausted. I wonder if anyone actually believes that, Kamala included. Like, everyone watching this can see Trump takes interview or random questions from people when he's walking by. At the end of his talks, he'll just take random questions from the crowd. Kamala almost never does this. Anytime she does, it's incredibly noteworthy. Like, she finally did that interview with Fox News, and it got so many views and so much attention because it never happens. Donald Trump does interviews like that all the time, and he's been doing those for, like, at this point, almost 10 years. I wonder if anyone actually believes Kamala when she says that. Like, even her own side. Are they just thinking like, oh, let's try to say that he's exhausted? Maybe some voters that barely pay attention to the election will believe it. I don't know, because I really have a hard time believing Kamala and her team believe what they're saying when they say that. Because, again, if you just follow it a little bit, it's obvious Donald Trump is doing way more events of really every kind. So with that said, I'll finish the video here. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Trump is exhausted? Do you think Kamala's exhausted? Either way, thank you for watching. Have a great day. See you in the next video.